like tubular.
Well, it's like a totally great day. It's like totally awesome.
Gag me with a spoon.
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is...
morning somewhere.
for June 6, 2024. My name is Bernie Burns, sitting right over there. The original Valley girl herself. Say hi to Becca Frasier, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Becca, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Now, let me ask you this. Is it appropriate to call you a Valley girl?
No. Technically, I am not from the Valley.
And we're not talking about the San Fernando Valley here. We're talking about the
Not
Rio
from there
Grande
either.
Valley. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you grew up in South Texas.
I grew up in South Texas, Southwest Texas.
You have a lot of stuff going on right now in the world that something I should say about Becca. Many people would know Becca as the voice of Sister in Red vs. Blue, but we've known each other now for
21 years.
4 years, probably a little bit longer than Red vs. Blue.
No, I met you the day, within days of the first episode of Red vs.
No
Blue
shit,
dropping.
really?
Yeah.
Because you worked at the call center.
Yes.
How did you get the job at the call center? I'm just curious. We won't go too much into this stuff.
Jason had worked there. He wasn't actively working there, but he made Nick work there, and Nick and Jason were both really good friends of mine. So they were
and Jason was on the podcast yesterday talking about Nick. You know, this just leads. I'm going to have Nick on the podcast.
Yes.
At some point.
You know, we might be traveling with Nick a little this summer. In September, there's talk. We might
Really?
Be, yeah.
What's he's going to go over to Europe or the UK?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Couple of things going on in the world that I think are a lot of them, some are political.
Mm-hmm.
You are the person, I hope you know this. You're one of the only people that I like if I'm spotting some disease in the world or something. You're one of the people that I write first.
I really appreciate it. I mean, I feel like I'm years ahead of everyone else in my circle about what to watch out for. So someday you'll save my life.
Well, you were one of the people where right before one of the big blackouts in Texas, I just wrote you and said, "Hey, get this water reservoir for your bathtub."
Yeah.
For drinking water. And you did it.
And I did it.
No one else listened to me, and you were the one who listened to me.
You caught me at a perfect time. We were coming out of a very short, 18-hour blackout from the first wave of weird ice we had in January.
Welcome to Texas.
Yeah. And then you sent me that. And I was like, you know what? I'll get this for next year. Didn't know I would be using it again in earnest in 3 weeks later.
How long were you without power during that blackout?
Our deal was kind of weird where we were front loaded. We had 2.5 days without power, but it
in
was
the middle of winter in Texas.
Yeah. But we were from the moment the freeze started to basically right before it got to its worst.
How bad did it get? Were you seeing your breath in your living room?
It never got that bad. Luckily, my house is really well insulated. It's, a new house. So we have spray foam. We have spray foam insulation, good windows.
The stuff we did at 636?
What, spray foam? Yeah, probably, for the sound dampening.
That stuff's crazy.
It is crazy.
They do one shot, and it looks like they spray a little film on it.
And it goes...
What is it? What do they call it? Closed cell or something like that? Yeah. And it just goes from literally a tiny little smidgen layer to 4 or 5 inches deep. And you just watch it expand. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
I feel like it's the beginning of a horror movie, somebody discovered that in a lab.
Yeah. But it's an incredible material for construction because not only does it insulate, but it fire blocks and fireproofs and keeps out bugs and all sorts of stuff.
It's a commitment, though.
It is.
Once you put it in, you're not taking that stuff out.
No shit. Yeah. I got some in my hair one time. And
No
it was
shit.
just I had to cut it out. I mean, it wasn't going anywhere.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There's no solvent or anything you can use.
No.
So the other reason why I send you this stuff, the latest one is the potential bird flu that's going around all through cattle in America. Yep. And I send that to you because I don't know how many people would know this. You grew up, you've done so many different things. You grew up as a farmer.
Yeah. I grew up on a farm, a family farming operation that has a division that's agriculture and a division that's ranching. So they're my uncle handles all the beef and my dad does all the farming.
Are you comfortable saying what your big thing is?
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah. They're onion farmers.
Known for your onions.
Yeah. I think it's the nation's largest provider of onion plants.
You're like this onion empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad's nickname is the Onion Man. In weird circles, he goes around and people recognize him as the Onion Man. Yeah. He's got a little parking sign at their office. It's Onion Man parking. And then they also do cantaloupes, and it's, you're hitting us right at cantaloupe season. So they're starting to appear in grocery stores throughout Texas.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And you were, after you did farming, you then went to school, then you worked at the call center. But then after that, you went into digital marketing.
Yeah. Like I was a copywriter. I did, a lot of web content. My first job was like an e-com content specialist. I did all the product pages and SEO and shit.
All the buzzwords. Nobody's know what half that means.
Yeah.
So e-com is e-commerce, like for like any kind of like storefront website.
Yeah. And it was a golf retailer. So that's strange.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Because I was always trying to bug you for a discount.
Yeah. I think I hooked you up as best I could. But I worked there for, I think, just shy of a year. It was a brutal job.
Was it really?
Yeah. It was just, I was worked to the bone. I was very eager to, prove myself, and I was getting paid trash, and they basically kind of lied to me about a bonus and like pay increase that would occur.
Spill, girlfriend. Yeah. I love it.
Well, they're out of business now. They filed for bankruptcy several years ago. So haha. But
which is so weird because I felt like they were ahead of the curve of like being such a specialty retailer.
They were. They had something good and they just blew it.
And they had a golf school too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was it was a lesson I learned. Like, get everything in writing. I was, when I was hired, they're like, we're going to pay you this for 60 days, and then once we know that you're good, you'll get paid this. And then that latter part never happened.
Really?
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
It was like 11 and a half months. So basically I got to annual review time because they kind of tread water, and we're like, yes, your raise is coming. It's coming. It's coming. And it was a moving target. And finally at annual reviews, they broke the news to me that it was not going to come and wouldn't come for the next year either. And so I was like, I quit.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you quit in the interview?
I did.
In the meeting?
I did.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah. But I only did because my boss was like, I don't blame you if you quit right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he prompted you?
Yeah. He knew that it was garbage. It was like the CFO's decision, and she didn't even know me.
Well, it's not like a big company.
Yeah.
Like the CFO was like weighing in on the entry level employees at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing about that, like that pivot to like farmer to student then to, marketing, there's the tech there in the call center as well. But from what I understand, you helped your family, then you were like the generation that helped move some of the produce sales online.
Yeah. So my dad had pivoted them to doing, like, I guess it was just mail order when I was born.
Yeah.
Like they established a relationship with USPS.
Traditional mail order.
Yes.
Like a catalog.
Like catalog.
Yeah.
And I think largely back then they dealt with like greenhouses or not greenhouse, like basically nurseries.
Garden centers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, probably, around the like 1997, they got their first website which was basically like print out the mailing, like the order form and then mail it in still.
That's funny because you were on the first Red versus Blue order form.
Exactly.
That was in the DVDs as well.
Yeah. And so my dad, my dad's a smart guy. He's in the military and went around, did a lot of stuff with computers in the early days. So he just kind of had a pulse on it. And, but I built their first real website with product imagery and everything.
I just love that because it's like, it's a generation where it's like the younger generation comes in and like modernizes what is a very, very traditional business.
Mm-hmm. And it was a really natural pivot for them. Like now they're direct to home gardeners and people love it. I mean, they have a pretty big fan base with like homesteaders, like bloggers.
And then your daughters can be the one that move everybody to like, I don't know, some kind of like AI production or something.
Oh my God, who knows?
Hey, look, that job's not going right. I mean, people are going to need onions. AI can't take over the onion market.
Well, listen, like, so my dad uses GPS guided tractors to do all of their plantings, and then they're really precise.
Does that mean autonomous?
Yes. And
fuck out of here.
Yeah. So they program it. There's some setup, but then they set it and forget it. And there was, it was after the solar flares that you experienced.
The Aurora Borealis.
Yeah. It messed up the GPS.
No, did it really?
I don't know if it actually affected my dad. I didn't ever ask him about it, and he too. But I read an article. John Deere had to pull their entire like GPS navigated system because it threw off, I think, like the home base orientation.
And that got all the way down to, can we say the part of the world?
Yeah.
Carrizo
Springs, Texas.
Yeah.
So he uses New Holland tractors, which I know are in the UK too. I saw a lot of signs for them.
Right. So the John Deere stuff, that was kind of, the autonomous ones were John Deere ones though?
That was the headline that I saw and read about it. But,
I see,
I would imagine that like, it would probably affect everyone.
I mean, I remember when your dad moved to New Holland.
It was a big deal. Yeah.
It's a big deal, man. It's like, it's like, that's like big boy. Like at my level, it's like, what power tools do you get? Are you getting like DeWalt or are you getting Milwaukee or like
Makita? I feel like DeWalt is what usually gets stolen from job sites.
Everything gets fucking stolen from job sites, man.
Screen door gets stolen. Yeah.
I mean, you must deal with that because, okay, let's talk about that too. Yeah. So take you all the way through this pivot. I'm going to bring this back around to why you're relevant to a lot of the world news that's going on right now too. But then you went to work for Rooster Teeth. Like you came to work at the company. And that was years after you'd been working with the company.
Yeah. I went to work for Rooster Teeth full time in 2016.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, I met you in 2003.
And
right?
when Sister would have appeared in what?
2007?
7, yeah.
Yeah. So quite a while. And it was just, like I did web content, like usually in the written form. And there was never a real natural opportunity for me to work there and be useful. And then there was, so.
But then you worked at Rooster Teeth for a while. You left early, like I'm going to say you left 2000.
It was January 2020. So
2020.
Pretty well timed before things got exceedingly weird.
Yeah. Well, you could have like milked all that like work from home.
Yeah. Well, so I already worked from home when quarantine happened. So it was a pretty natural transition for me.
Maternity leave?
No, I went to work for a remodeling company.
Oh, not a Rooster Teeth, but okay,
right. And I was remote. Yeah.
So this is the interesting thing to me. This is yet another pivot. You pivoted then to construction.
Which
is now what you do.
Yes.
Yeah, design and construction.
Yep. So
your job's like way cooler than anybody else's, by the way.
It's really fun. Like I just love it.
Becca posts like photos of drones, like of a property that she's renovating or something like that. You made all these pivots. Like it's crazy pathway.
Yeah. I just I don't know. I have a lot of hobbies and a lot of interests, and I don't know. I have ADHD, and I think when I get hyper fixated on something, I learn everything there is to know about it, and then eventually I'm like, oh, I could probably professionally do this. Let's try it.
Maybe the AI joke was not that far off. I mean, there's not much left. You've run through a lot of different like major industry sectors. This reminds me, by the way, this in the news today, the Boeing Starliner finally went up to space. So you missed your chance to like be an astronaut, like just hitch a ride and like change careers again.
That's a bucket list item is to go to space though. So we'll see.
Would you do it?
Yeah. I mean, not deep space.
Like we talking like you just want to go up and see the curvature of the Earth?
Yeah, I'd be good with that.
That kind of thing?
Yeah.
Like, to get weightless, you'd have to go into orbit. Would you go up to the moon? Is that too far?
I could do the moon.
Yeah? You could do it?
Yeah.
Like go by the moon or land on the moon?
I mean, it'd be cool to land on the moon.
Yeah, would it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everest is in the news lately. Like it's, people climbing to Everest. It sounds like this incredibly monumental achievement that so few people have done. And now you see like there's just a line.
A line, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the biggest issues they're dealing with is trash on the mountain. Yeah.
And also dead body trash.
Yeah. I don't get that. Like, I mean, I get it, obviously, because it's Mount Everest. But it's how, because if you're waiting in line to go to the top of the summit, like it doesn't seem like that dire of a situation that would cause people to die, right?
Yeah. I mean, the oxygen is really bad. I mean, obviously, like you go on a tank at that point.
But it doesn't get better when you get in line, right? So in my mind, it's always like, if you're up there for more than like 5 minutes, watch out, you're going to die, right? And then you'll be there forever. But then I see these photos of people in line waiting to get to the top. Anyway, just doesn't make much sense to me. I'm sure somebody who has experience with this stuff can explain it to me.
There was a reality show a while back that was called like Summiting Everest. And I was really into it. And it was just about all these really rich older men who would pay Sherpas to take them up there and do all of the work. Like it was just set in, like just show up and we'll take you the rest of the way. And there was a guy who had lost his legs on a previous expedition, and he had a guy just carry him like a backpack to the summit. I'm like, does that count?
I don't know if that counts. I'm gonna say I don't know if that counts.
Yeah.
Although it does remind me of one of my favorite memes that I ever saw, which was it was an inspirational image, and it said, "Here's this mountain climber who lost both of his legs and still climbed to the top of the mountain. What's your excuse?" And the first comment was, "My legs hurt."
God.
I always love. That's what I love about the internet. The top comment is always the perfect joke.
It's so good.
Perfect joke. But you said reality show, so I got to tie this all back in for all these things going on in the world, which remind me of you. One is the agricultural thing going on with like these cows and the bird flu. There's even today down in Mexico, there's a new version of the avian flu. First ever case in a human. A guy in Mexico just died, like right across the border from you, because you're really close to the border.
Yeah, we're right by Eagle Pass, Texas, which is across the border from Piedras Negras.
Which apparently is now shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing in the news. Like that, you dealt with, border politics your entire life.
Yeah.
And now like Biden just shut down the border. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but it's this ongoing discussion of the border, the border, the border. You're a person who lived within miles of the border. Do you feel like that discussion is bigger?
So I think I left that area at a really pivotal time when it started to become very unsafe. I haven't been to Mexico since my 21st birthday, I think. It was the last time we went. We used to go all the time across, go to a restaurant and have drinks and just shop around.
Did you go to the restaurant that's the inventor of the nachos?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Ristorante Moderno. Yeah. That place rules.
That's the place Gus took it. So Gus grew up in Eagle Pass, which is right across from Piedras. And then you live like a little bit further in from there.
Yeah, it's
right?
like 30 minutes.
But like basically in Gus, you grew up in the same community as Gus and not a huge community.
Not at all.
Right? Yeah.
Everyone's related to everyone.
Everyone's related to everybody.
Yeah.
There's like, I only know 3 towns down there. And you guys are like around them, like Dilley, Carrizo Springs, and Eagle Pass, and that's it.
And Dilley is tiny. It's amazing that you know Dilley. Probably because that's where you turn off to go to Carrizo Springs.
Yeah, to come down there.
Yeah.
And it's the interesting thing too. It's like we take it for granted because I used to go down to Mexico as well a lot. This just shows how different times are now. I used to go down there because we could drink when we were under 21 or even under 18. It didn't matter. So you cross over and you could drink. That says a lot about the difference in our lifestyles these days. But every town, it seems like along the border, has like a sister town right across the border.
Yep.
So like Eagle Pass has, you say
Piedras Negras.
Thank you. And then Brownsville has Matamoros. Mm-hmm. Famously, El Paso has Tijuana, right?
That's like from San Diego.
Yeah,
El Paso has Jesus Christ. I don't know. I can't remember.
No, it's Jesus Cristo.
And Laredo has Nuevo Laredo.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's like a big culture down there of like you just cross over into the sister city, right across the border. Juarez, thank you, of course. Yeah. And I mean, even when I was in college, we would go down to Brownsville for spring break, which is like down by Corpus
South
Christi.
Padre. No, Brownsville's way farther than Corpus.
Not Corpus. What am I thinking? I'm thinking of
South Padre. Probably.
South Padre. Thank you. I'm thinking of South Padre Island. So we got that huge spring break destination. Obviously, we would go down there, and then we would cross over into Matamoros. But like the year before I went, there was this ritualistic cannibal murder that took place.
Oh wow!
And it seems like it's kind of like the theme of the movie No Country for Old Men, right? It seems like the world's getting worse all the time, but there's still these terrible things that always happened all throughout history. And I think about like, I just wandered across the border, as a 17-year-old kid, like 6 months after this guy disappeared and was, dude, that is a Wikipedia article you do not want to read. Yeah,
I think crazy. I remember that case.
It was 1989.
Yeah, I have photos of me at 15 years old at a bar in Piedras Negras, like with a whole bottle of tequila. We're all like hugging each other. Like I would tell my parents I was going to the movies, and it was an hour to the nearest movie theater. So that was like 4 hours of time that was bought, and it was 30 minutes across the border.
Yeah.
So we could, spend 3 hours at a bar and get back at the same time. It was just 15 goddamn years old. I had no business being in Mexico
All you
alone.
wanted was nachos from the original source, and that was it. Did that place really invent the nacho?
That's the story. I mean, it hasn't been contested. No,
there's no other like rival who's like we had the nacho.
Yeah,
first.
they did have really good nachos. Cincos, they called them.
Are they gone now?
Yeah, unfortunately, like when things got bad with the border, all the people stopped going across that were their main clientele, and
they might have lost the patent.
Yeah, if they ever had it. But yeah, that was a great place.
Everything we're talking about is coming together. This is what I really want to talk to you about. So it was announced sometime earlier this week. The Baldwins are now having their own reality show. The Baldwins, by the way, have 7 kids.
Yeah.
You have 2 kids.
I have 2 kids.
I can't imagine having 7 kids in a house.
They have a lot of help.
7 kids.
Yeah. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, she kind of doubled up on some. Like she had surrogates.
Yeah.
And so she had like multiple infants, but not twin age. They're like staggered.
Now, who are you talking about when you say this?
Oh, Hilaria Baldwin.
So I don't know how many people know about this. Alec Baldwin's wife, Hilaria, nay Hillary. She is an interesting character. How would you describe her?
A chameleon?
So if I may, you're a white girl who grew up in the valley, basically.
Yes.
You know,
in a border town in South Texas.
I think this speaks to you very strongly because she's a lady from Boston who, from what I've pieced together from all these stories written about her in like Vogue and Vanity Fair and things like that, she's from Boston, but she would summer in Spain and then decided at some point she's Spanish.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I think that's what it comes down to.
What is going on with that?
Yeah.
I'm going to play. Can I play this for you real
Yes.
quick? So just give people like this is from an Inside Edition news clip about her from 3 years ago. I'm just going to play this.
Hilaria Baldwin says she's quitting social media after facing major embarrassment over accusations of having faked her Spanish accent and heritage for years and years. Listen to her charming Spanish accent here.
Married life is really nice. It feels different.
But the accent is gone in this video she just posted.
There's been some questions about where I'm born. I'm born in Boston.
So it's endlessly fascinating, this person. And the way I would best describe it is if you ever knew a kid in high school who went away to Europe for like a summer or an exchange program and then came back and suddenly had an accent for like 2 months, even though they were only there for like 45 days, it's like the adult long-term version of that person.
Yeah. And, I am fairly certain that she was pulling off this ruse when she met Alec Baldwin. How bamboozled would you feel? At this point, I think they're already like 4 or 5 kids in. And it's like, you're not even fucking Spanish? Like, who are you?
It's really bizarre. It's really bizarre. Now they have a reality show as well, which is just like, dude, aspire to have the confidence of Alec Baldwin. Everything that guy's got going on, he going to start a reality show now?
Right.
Now? This is the point in your life.
They got some good juice. Like, there will definitely be some big dramatic arcs as he gets sued over and over and over again.
Bro, that is like the ultimate lean in. Like, and I would just be like, the last thing I would ever want to do in the situation he's in with his life. We've talked about the Rust, incident that happened where the cinematographer died. I said cinematographer. Did I say cinema? What did I say?
You said cinnamon.
I say cinematographer. I tried to catch
Delicious.
myself. I tried to catch myself naturally. That's the other thing that Becca is my go-to for. We are both hardcore grammar nerds. And you put me to shame. Like, literally, I had the question the other day. Becca, I know, is a proponent of the Oxford comma.
I am.
Do you use an Oxford comma with an ampersand?
I typically avoid using an ampersand.
Okay.
That's
the best answer ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I ever have grammar stuff, I'll send you. It's always like plumber's vans that have like horrible apostrophe or quotes around stuff that shouldn't have quotes and things like that. Or if I just have a general question about grammar, it's like our text messages must look ridiculous. Ridiculous. So what's your opinion, if I may? Hilaria Baldwin, what's your opinion? Because I feel like you have a legitimacy as like you're from both these worlds.
Yeah. I used to follow her on Instagram before this happened, and it was a swift unfollow.
So did you think she was Spanish the whole time
I
you
did.
were following her?
I truly did.
Really?
Yeah. And, she had a kid around the same time that I had my first kid. And I felt like, she's incredibly fit. Like, she bounced back from that pregnancy very quickly, but she had a lot of, like deep insights about motherhood and whatever. I kind of like associated with her and thought, we were on the same page on some things in life. And then this all happened. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Like, it's like a deep cover.
It is.
There was a thing where she was on a cooking show.
Yeah. That's the one that just really, really got me where, she's doing her accent and she I think it's a cucumber and she's all, ¿Cómo se dice pepino?
She's like, how do you say it in English?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I'm fascinated. I wonder if it'll be, listen, here I am. I don't watch any reality television. This is completely on my radar. I want to see the first episode, her first line.
Yeah, I'll hate watch it for sure.
Will she have the Spanish accent?
I know. She can't. She can't possibly at this point.
I don't know. They're leaning in, you know? I mean, if you're going to have a reality show when you have like a man's, isn't he he's going on trial? Isn't he going on trial this summer?
Sometime soon, yeah.
Do the lawyers just go, what the fuck are you thinking, man?
Yeah.
Are you insane? You're going to have a reality show while you're in criminal court. What world do we live in?
I know.
I swear. Anyway, let's place a bet right now. I'm going to bet. I'll bet you $5. She goes all in on the Spanish accent.
Really? Okay.
You're saying no, she can't possibly do it at this point?
Yeah. She can't. But I haven't kept tabs on her since the big outing. Like, I don't know what she talks like on her Instagram stories. But yeah, I mean, my God.
We're going to be heavily scrutinizing this. We're going to be like,
Yes.
you and I are going to be like, listening, is that a Spanish accent or not? What is it supposed to be? Oh my God, that's ridiculous. So what are you up to these days? So these days you have now pivoted to construction. You have your own business.
I have my own business.
Truly independent entrepreneur on your own in a whole new industry.
Yeah. Well, that might be a bit much. I do have a business partner. We're co-owners, each own 50% of the company. It's just two of us.
Yeah, but you're independent.
But we're independent.
Yeah.
We have an interior design firm, full service residential design, like drafting architectural stuff, getting very technical in the details. And we work with a few select builders in town very closely.
How do you do it? To me, it's like anytime I work in any kind of like small remodeling project, big thing, I had some guys that worked on a deck. It's like, I just feel like, with few exceptions, every time I start to work with a contractor, it's like, it's always great at the beginning. And then it's like, I know it's like, I really like this person. And I know in 6 months, we're all going to hate each other. Somehow.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's one of the most tense industries to work in.
Is. So what I learned very early on is have everything ready to go day one.
Is that what you got to do? You got to play like a cop. Like you're the big bad boss.
Yeah, completely.
Wow.
Yeah. But, we've gotten to a point where we're working with some really great people. We don't have to do that with them. But
are you ever tempted to like bust out your fake Spanish accents? Like,
Well, like when I first came into this industry, my boss at the time would warn all the trades guys. Like I'm in a weird area with my Spanish where I understand it very well, but I don't speak it great.
You speak it fine, I'm sure.
Like my accent's good, but I, vernacular wise, there are words that if I see them, if it's a multiple choice answer, I know the answer, but
you don't have that
fill in the blank. It's not that quick. You know?
Don't have like that think in Spanish, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I can understand it very well.
Did you have that and you lost it? Or you
I did have it. Yeah. I just, didn't speak it for a long time.
Didn't flex it.
I took 4 semesters of Spanish in college and then grew up.
Well, that's a slam dunk for you. Holy cow. Yeah.
And I grew up speaking Spanish. My dad's, very fluent. My grandfather was fluent. But yeah, so she warned them, like, don't talk shit about her because she'll understand you.
Yeah. Yep. You have the tough thing too, because we're talking about the tradesmen, but then you also manage clients too, right? That can't be fun either.
Yeah, it can be really difficult.
Just shows why it's a necessary job.
Yeah. So me going out as the designer now, it is a little easier because previously I was in a design build environment with like a set budget for everything before we even started designing. And so quite often I had to tell people, you can't afford what you want.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. So now it's more like, tell me your budget and I will design within that and we can have a little give and take. And there's just more flexibility and just generally, I don't know, we've just gotten lucky and have had clients with very nice budgets recently, or like they're at least realistic and understand if they have a limited budget, they don't get mad if they can't afford the most expensive stone in the world, But yeah, it just really felt like a lot of the time previously I was squashing people's dreams.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah, that's rough. It's crazy because the Austin market took off, the housing market took off. And I imagine people buy houses and then do a lot of renovations in that market. But then I also imagine you get a little bit of recession proof where when the market falls, people stay still and just work on their current
No
house.
one wants to take out a new mortgage. So there's been a lot more of that.
Or people just working on their existing place.
Mm-hmm.
It's new to me now, right?
Yeah.
You can change it up. Well, we'll close on this then. You've changed careers now. Farmer, tech, entertainment. Well, I left out golf in there. Then on to construction and then e-com in there as well. So many career changes. What's your advice for changing, making those huge changes in life? Is there anything you found that's like a secret to it besides having ADHD?
Yeah. I mean, largely just a lot of the time when you just jump off the edge of something, it forces you to go into it 100%.
So like if I want to go from being a gringo, if I want to go Spanish, I just jump into the accent?
Just jump in, yeah.
Get a reality show?
Yeah, just find a new circle to associate it in, and no one, if you sell it, they'll buy it. But yeah, I mean, I just have been sort of forced into a lot of situations, whether it was my decision or someone else's, where it was like, okay, I need to find out something new or find out what's next or, make the best of this, of what I want to be next. And it's worked out. And I find that largely when people have that attitude, it does work out.
You take like leaps of faith. Is what you're
Yes,
saying.
completely.
Take the leap of faith and just have faith in yourself.
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, that does it for us today. I want to thank two of our sponsors from Patreon, Jared and Jake Adelson. Thank you very much for supporting this podcast. If you would like to support this podcast, please visit patreon.com/Morning Summer. Thank you very much for being here, Becca.
Thanks for having me, Bernie.
I will be back to talk to you tomorrow. I hope you all will be here as well.
What?
Give us a bye, everybody.
Oh, bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.